Hey guys, another Flames of War video. As promised, I said I wouldn't stop, and here we are. Rifle Company, USA Rifle Company, winterized. So this is one of the newer kits. Newer as in it's not many years old. So it comes with the new bases, that the brown bases with the holes in them that you get in open fire, and all their newer kits. So this is not the same. This isn't just a winterized version of the normal Rifle Company. This is a different kit altogether, and this one you get a different layout. So you get your standard 1IC, 2IC, and your two platoons of 9 stands each, not including the commander. And the difference is you don't get LMGs, but you get more bazookas. So here you get 8 bazooka teams. Late war, of course, winner. $58 MSRP. Real nice art there. And I got this specifically for use with nuts and also Devil's Charge, which I don't have yet. Real cool there. So you can use them in this book. I believe this is where I got my army list from, the game I played. See if I can find exactly what it is that I used. Well, here's a painting guide, this is the painting guide I used for nuts to paint them. I'll show you some painted models that I have. Here it is. I used the Glider Rifle Company, Confident Veteran, and I took 2 infantry platoons at full strength. I took some mortars, I took some Shermans all decked out, 276s, an Easy 8. I took some Hellcats, and some Recon. I believe I took 105s as well. So Confident Vets, and that's about it. I did really good. I played one game with them. I won. It was pretty steep. I had, advantages the whole game. I just had so many things. I didn't even need my reserves by that time. It was just my reserves were just overkill, which were my Shermans and forgot some other platoon, but I didn't even need them. By the turn 3, I was already almost all over my opponent. Because that was my first game with Americans, or my first game with Americans with my own Americans, without borrowing or using someone else's list. And I played against Germans, and it was just I had no fear of losing at all the entire game from the start, because I found that the Americans, they have an answer for everything. For any situation, they have something to deal with it, and they're decently good at pretty much everything. They're not very specialized. They're kind of good at everything. You could say they're specialized in artillery, but they're pretty much good at everything. So they're real balanced. So here you have everything that comes in the box. Your 1IC, 2IC, and just kind of arrayed the bazookas around so I don't just have them all together. Here's a painted, completely finished, based, varnished, with matte varnish platoon with 2 bazooka teams attached, and the commander. Here's another one. It's not finished yet, but it'll look the same as this pretty much. And then some extra bazooka teams, which I haven't been able to find a way to use them. Because usually I don't need them. Usually this is more than enough, 3 or 4. But I also can't find in the list a way to use all of my bazookas. I'm sure there are lists out there, but I haven't found one yet. At least not a winterized version, because I like the thematic lists. Not just if I was gonna take a list from here, I would kind of really want to have them look like this, winterized, not just normal Americans. Although you could, but this is a winter campaign. It's December, so I wanted them to be winterized if I'm going to use them from that book. I also got the Volksgrenadiers, which I showed you, which when I reviewed this book, which the video's been up for a while now, I showed you these guys while they were still in the box, and also the Volksgrenadiers, which are going to be these guys' opponents, which I will be doing the same thing I'm doing for them with my Volksgrenadiers. So I'm going to, just like I'm doing here, I'll do the same with my Volksgrenadiers. I'll have everything laid out, and I'll have at least a platoon painted and the 1IC, 2IC, so you guys can see how they came out. So I used all Flames of War paints, and I used, as I said, the painting guide in nuts. So this is exactly how the book tells you to paint them, exactly how Battlefront wants you to paint them. And I find that it's pretty accurate. I've seen pictures and stuff, and they did a good job with their research. It looks real accurate from what it really was. Another thing, I used Gale Force 9 static grass, or the dead grass, which I think is a real nice touch to break up the snow. And I also used Army Painter snow, which I really like Army Painter for everything that they have, especially their snow and their grass, especially their snow. What I like about it is that it's real fine and thin. So as you can see with the new brown bases that they give you that are slotted, they leave gaps. So the good thing about the Army Painter flock is that since it's so thin and small, it covers all the gaps, kind of like a sealer or like spackle would. So I didn't have to spackle them. But as you can see on some of them, they're for 5 stands, so I had to put some spackle to cover it up. I just really don't like the new bases at all, but I use them just so that I don't use up the spares that I have, because I didn't have this many spare bases for the old ones, of the old bases, so I had to use the ones that they provided. But it worked out good. Here, let me show you some different bazooka teams. 1, 2. This guy's different. So I believe here are the 4 different types of bazookas, and you get 2 of each. So you get one like that guy, just holding it forward. 2 of them are kneeling. The loader is the same for those 3 that you can see there, just kind of crouching. There's one pointing it down. There's a guy standing up shooting. There's another guy kneeling down, but he has it kind of sideways, all with the same loader. And there's another guy running forwards with a bazooka behind him and with a running loader. And you get duplicates of each one, so you would have 2 of each for a total of 8. The 1 IC and the 2 IC, they kind of give you, don't really tell you which one's which. So I kind of did, there was one guy that looked different, this guy here with a radio, right there. So I made him my 1 IC just because he looks different from this guy. And this guy's my 2 IC to differentiate him. He has kind of like a green battle dress. So it's my 1 IC and my 2 IC. And just, you know, kind of one guy waving forward for one platoon and one for the other. The other thing I did was the edge of the bases I made gray. One, it's good for the white. So it doesn't come through the bottom, the paint. So if I would have used brown or something, I would have had to do different things with it. But basically I base coated everything in gray. Then I went to a lighter shade of gray, kind of like I was layering white, but I didn't go all the way to white. And I left the edges a dark gray. Probably, I'm thinking, I just like how it looks instead of having it all white. I think it looks pretty cool. And as you can see here on the edging. And thinking of maybe making my second platoon so I can tell which one's which, making the base white on them, or maybe like a blue, so I can know which platoon is which. So I'll probably keep this one gray, edges, this one white, and then if I get a third platoon, make it maybe like a blue, so it's all kind of in theme with the winter. So it's not like a super stark color like green or yellow, which I've seen some people do. So that's about it. I use this in nuts, and I'll be showing you the rest of the stuff I have. But pretty much with these guys, I take your standard mortar platoon. I believe I took some LMGs that I attached. A fully upgraded Sherman platoon with 76s and an Easy 8. Everything with 50 cals. 4 Hellcats that came, you know, with their recon element, which worked really cool. That was the first time I ever used it. So, oh, that and a separate recon thing I took of Jeeps. So I had 2 recon units, which was really good. The more recon the better, and pretty much any list. Recon is the key to winning in a lot of missions. And I believe 105, so real well-rounded list. I found that my Americans could pretty much take up any situation, whether it was heavy armor, you know, I had my 76s and my Hellcats, whether it was a lot of infantry, I had my mortars and my 105s. And a ton of shots from all the 50 cals I had all over the place against aircraft. I didn't need to take a separate platoon. Every vehicle I had 50 cals. A lot of them had them built in. I didn't have to pay extra for them. So real versatile. I mean, these guys are good in defense and assault because you get 9 stands and they're veterans. So they're going to overpower Germans because they get an extra 3 stands. They're not as giant as Russians, but they're better because they're vets and they're at least confident. And in defense, they have the automatic rifle, so they get to reroll hits. And they also don't get a penalty for moving and shooting, so they're very versatile. The time on target I didn't get to use because I never ranged in on the first attempt, but I didn't have to. Oh, another thing I used were priests, which worked very, very well. Mostly not so much for bombarding, but in direct fire, even with the penalty for moving and shooting because they have one shot. They managed to kill a whole platoon of Stugs. Just there was one left at the end, but he outlived the Stugs. 3 of his platoon died. I had 4 priests. There were 3 died, but by the time they died and there was 1 left, they massacred like 4 Stugs. So it was worth it. And you know, I really like how they look. Anyway, so I'm gonna do another video showing you my entire, probably my entire American list. Maybe another video, kind of do like an army list discussion video, show you what I take, and then maybe you guys could give any suggestions or what you would swap out, or maybe how you would use them in a certain way with what strategy. All right, guys. So quick close up again. Like I said, this camera doesn't have a back screen, so I can't really see what I'm filming. So I don't know if this is a good angle, a good you know, can't really zoom. I have to manually put it closer. It's 1080p. It's as HD as it can get, but I just can't see what I'm filming. So I hope this is good enough for you guys. There may be a different. Also, I noticed, I filmed this before, that the grass looks really, really bright yellow in this, with this shot, but it's not. It's kind of a darker, more matte, opaque color. So it's not as bright as it looks in film. Alright guys, if you want me to show you how I did it, since these guys aren't, they pretty much just have their primer. I might do how to paint, pretty much how to get from here to here, which trust me, they look a lot better. If I had better lighting I could show you, but this lighting and this camera doesn't do them justice. They actually look very, a lot nicer, because I did do a preview video of how it would come out, and with this lighting they don't look so great. They kind of look blurry a little bit. See if I can get a better shot this way. So you can see there's a lot of crouching guys. The gray coats came out real nice. I really like them. Lots and lots of places for highlighting, which I really like about these guys. And the gray coats, lots of places to highlight, which came out real nice. As you can kind of see on that guy kneeling down, got a lot of highlighting on him. And I don't use a wash. I do everything on my own. I don't like the wash on 15 mil. I found that it kind of ruins it sometimes because it's so thick and dark. Some people do, and for them it's fine, but that's because they don't really know how to paint. No offense to anyone, but they just do a couple dry brush layers and they dip them or whatever, and it just looks like a blob of brown or like black, like super dark, a lot darker than it should. Probably because they didn't water it down, or they just used too much. But a wash isn't there to cover everything. It shouldn't destroy your paint job. It should just you know, complement it by adding shades, which is what it is the shade. It adds shading to your thing. So I don't use a wash on these guys or any 15 mil, except maybe if they're like kind of like ancients or like dark ages, and they have kind of like a lot of metal, like chainmail. Then I would, just to darken it up, but not on these guys, because they have a lot more brighter colors and a lot of nice highlighting that the wash would just completely nullify. It would just destroy it. Alright guys, so I really want to get a battle report in with these guys. I've only played 1 game with them, but I kind of know how they run because it was kind of a long game, and I just got a feel for what every little platoon did and how they all work together. I really like the synergy that the Americans have, and just that they have a response for any situation. You know, whether it's heavy armor, massed infantry, dug-in infantry, I kind of have something to deal with it. Well, with the list I made, and just for being American in general, all the special rules they have and stuff like that. Alright guys, so those were the Rifle Company winner. Americans, 58 bucks, 106 figures, enough bases for everything, 8 bazooka teams, 9 stands each. Get your 1 SC and 2 SC. Perfect. It's a backbone of any infantry company or mechanized, whether it's in Nuts, Red Here, or Devil's Charge, or Blood, Guts, and Glory. And you can always use it for anything. I mean, just because they're winterized. You can also do what they did in the box. They didn't add snow, so they're a lot more versatile. So they could be winter, fall, spring, even summer, just because they have the gray coats. I mean, you know. But I decided to go winter with the snow because I just really like how the snow looks. First time I ever used it. Again, that was Army Painter Snow, Gale Force 9, Dead Grass, and all the paints I used were Battlefront. And They were all Vallejo paints from the Flames of War line, and I painted them entirely based on this. I didn't do anything different. So if you want to paint them, just the guide in Nuts tells you how, and I'm sure Devil's Charge has the same exact painting guide, which I'll show you. Tell you guys what page it is right here, page 34 on Nuts Painting Americans. As you can see, has everything you need. The one thing I did change were the black boots. It says black or flat brown. I gave them black boots. I just like it more, adds more contrast. It's really cool. All right, guys, till next time. Really like this kit. It's really worth it. You get a lot for your money. And obviously, I didn't pay full price because I didn't buy straight from Flames. You know, most of us have a store that we can go to or get it online. So you usually save a few dollars. So I believe I got it for probably 52 instead of 58, maybe 50, 52 with tax. So I saved a few dollars. And it's a great buy. This is technically an entire company. You know, you get your 2 combat platoons. And you can also use it in maybe in an armored list. You can take these guys as support and mechanized. And they're the backbone for any infantry. Alright guys, till next time.